go live. Yay! Good afternoon and welcome to another Friday live stream.
On YouTube and on Instagram.
Hello, Instagram live people. We've got another camera over here. We can't look at it all the time because we want to look at... Anyway, we'll just look at each other. Keep it simple.
Exactly. Just me and you.
Randall's just started to do another Windows update right at the beginning of the live stream. That was very bad timing,
Good
Randall.
luck with that.
So as you can see, we're not yet in Birmingham. We're going to be there on Monday, aren't we? Fun time.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. So we are going to be pitching our questions to the photographic industry. Anyone will be there. So we will be chatting away to lots of people, which is why we decided on today's theme.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to scream at Canon's stand.
The printer people.
You know the viral video where the crazy person just goes and smashes things?
Don't do that.
No, okay.
Because first of all, you've just admitted on camera that you're going to do something like that. So
that would be a lookalike. It wouldn't be me.
It wouldn't be actually you.
No, probably the accent would give it away. But
yes, maybe a little bit if you were shouting in Russian.
No, it's all well behavior, good behavior.
Yes, exactly. We will be on our best behavior at Birmingham. I will be there to keep Con in check. Don't worry.
On a leash.
Now, there are already some questions. We also popped a couple of questions. There are a couple of questions from Instagram as well, aren't there? So we'll try and answer them as we go along. Obviously, these are general questions. They're not just questions we want to pose to the photographic industry. But do you want to do the competition winners first? Should we do that first?
Yeah, let's get this out of the way.
Because last week was a bit random and I didn't know what we were giving
and by
away.
that time, probably people will gather as well. More people will come. Whoever is late, they will join us.
Slowly but surely. Okay, brilliant. Right, so... First up, we had a couple of weeks ago, we were doing the Nikon cap. Mm-hmm. The keyword for this competition was potato.
Potato.
And it went viral all on its own. I wish that I was giving away an actual potato, but I'm not. It's probably a bit of a disappointing prize. You can buy those in Tesco or Waitrose, depending on where you shop.
Oh, Waitrose. So posh,
I know,
Becky.
Fancy.
Lidl?
Or Lidl.
What is Lidl?
Or Aldi. Anyway, so that is the first competition that we're going to be drawing live. I am prepared with my window capture here. So let's pick a winner. So it was 79 people that said the word potato. And look, Peter Grant was the winner.
Congratulations.
Well done, Peter. So you get your Nikon cap. You get that? Well done. So drop me a line with the address that you want that sent to, and I'll get that done. Sorry, can you pass that to our lovely producer?
Right. We have a new producer today.
Yes, Sam is in the house, running the IGTV and doing everything. So he'll be pinning your comments, etc. All right, next up, we have the Peak Design lanyard. It's not what it's called. It's called a leash. I beg your pardon. And we had 125 comments for that.
Well, when you told me that you're going to keep me on the leash, I didn't think that it would be this leash.
It's that leash, and it's Jim Murray. So well done to Jim for winning that. Please do drop us a line. Email address is media@grazerwestminster.co.uk, and we'll get that posted out to you. So very, very well done.
So just clarify. So leash is the smaller version of a sling, right? Is that what it is?
It's the smaller strap that they do.
Okay, so for mirrorless smaller cameras.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it still holds the same amount of weight of like a proper camera. I mean, the camera that's on there is mirrorless.
I see. So if you like things skinny, that would be the one, yeah?
Skinny strap, exactly. Because they do the slide and the slide light, and I think the leash is the smallest one.
Would match my skinny tie.
It would, yeah. Okay, the last one for this week is... it was actually a mystery prize, but I can tell you what it is in a second. So competition, a Geordie with a camera and walking boots. Way. Okay, so Geordie with a camera and walking boots. You have won a copy of David Yarrow's Focus, which is also, so well done to you, also going to be the prize for next week's winner. So if you would like to enter today's competition, what's the keyword?
Tomato.
Oh, no. Or tomato, as we say in England. So if you'd also like to win a copy of this, this is a beautiful production, by the way. Just a little sneak peek there. It is filled with David's wonderful images. And a lot of articles about how he's achieved those images, how he's kind of moved across from wildlife to fine art to, one thing or another. He's also a brilliant writer. So this is a really lovely production. So we've got one of those for next week. So somehow in the comments, not in the live chat, but in the comments, put tomato. Why?
And tell us how you like it.
Anyway, oh my God. So well done to all three of you for winning those, and just let us know your details by emailing. I'll give you that email address once more. It's media@grayswestminster.co.uk.
Fresh with a bit of salt and olive oil.
Excellent. All right. So the coffee fund is open. Thank you to Jeremy and Adrian for your contributions
so much.
already. And good afternoon to everyone who has joined us so far. So the first question that Sam has kindly pinned for us is from David Pierce. This is a really good question, David.
I'm glad you asked.
So the question is, are batteries like screaming?
Yes. Where are they?
For the ZFC.
Yeah, but not only for ZFC and Z50, which is ENL 25, but also for Z cameras like Z6, Z5, Z7, and G850 and L15 battery.
That's right. We got a small batch of ENL 15Cs last week and sent out all of the prepaid order ones, but we didn't have any left over, unfortunately. So anyway, yes, batteries is an excellent question. We will be sure to ask that. We're making notes. Also, now this is another good question, David. When does the hand grip come out?
Haha, we got some news for you.
So we found out from a customer today that, thanks, Nikon.
Yeah, thank you, Nikon, for letting us know.
That the hand grip has now officially been released. And this is between you and us
and the internet.
When they normally release a brand new product, like for example a camera, all of the accessories come listed underneath that camera, so we know how much it's going to be, when it's going to arrive, what the product code is, that kind of stuff. So when there's the GR1 as it's called, was listed under the ZFC on our sort of welcome pack, if you like, it just said to be confirmed.
You see, if they would be smart, they would call it GR1P. So when you read it, it would say grip.
Oh, that's so cute.
You see? But they didn't think of that.
They didn't, but that would have been nice, just for some novelty. So the grips have now been officially announced. Nikon store have sent out emails to everyone. Oops, sorry, just hitting the microphone for the deafened audience. And that means that you will be able to pre-order it from sometime later on today once I've finished the stream and have put it on our website. But yes.
Okay, well, that's good. So wait on your order for small rigs, L plates and grips. So there's Nikon ones in town as well.
Yeah. Now, gosh, who was it that just the other day sent me a picture of their small rig? It arrived. His arrived. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry I've forgotten who it was.
I just read in the comments, but I haven't seen the picture of it.
Yeah. No. Oh, I should have sent it to you. Anyway, it's lovely. It's got that little hand grip on it, and it looks kind of leatherette style. It's very nice. So yeah.
I don't know. The question is like, why would you want to have a grip on ZFC? Like, this camera is specifically designed for that thing. So you see what I mean? I mean, I understand the convenience of it. But then if you want to have a grip on your camera, just get a camera with a grip built in.
You know what? I think it reminds me a little bit of the Nikon FA, for those of you that remember that camera, and also the FG. So it came with the hand grip, but you could take it off.
That's true.
Obviously, it was a tiny little thing like this instead of a whole thing to go on the base. But I think if you've got slightly bigger hands and your finger just sort of falls off the bottom of the camera, then having the hand grip is quite useful. I personally would probably go without.
Yeah, I like the whole Arcus Fizz functionality. That's useful.
Yes. That's the small rig one that has that, not the Nikon one.
Not the Nikon one.
One day they'll get the picture. Anyway, so thank you to Ian for your contribution to the Coffee Fund as well. Okay, so we have an Instagram question. So when is the 24-105 and the 100-400 coming? Adam, this is a great question. We will be sure to ask. From our experience at Photo London last week, what did Neil say? He said, don't ask about when lenses are coming out, when the Z9's coming out, or the Z8. He said the Z8 is a car, not a camera.
So, but he mentions that that must be real because it's Nikon employee mentioned it.
Obviously, people have been asking, well, I don't want the Z9, I want the Z8, whatever that is. But we've speculated about it loads, haven't we?
Yes, absolutely. If you want to see 5 hours of footage of us speculating on that, that's just in our podcast.
Yeah, Nikon Report is the place to go for all that sort of stuff.
No, but I definitely will be looking after Z9. I will be checking everyone under the stands, under the tables, everywhere. Just, going to see Rishi, just going to check his pockets as well. See, have you got the Z9 on you?
Z9?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We will ask the question for sure. I don't know if we'll get a coherent answer. But we have big plans for next week. So Monday we'll be up in Birmingham. Then we'll be putting our vlog together so that hopefully we can get that out sort of early next week as soon as we've done the show. And then we're going to do our podcast, which will have whatever news we could share from the show. So it'll be great, I think, and busy.
Good luck to us.
I'm already worried about how this is going to work. Sam says, I've already seen a third-party grip, and also the ZFC comes in colors now. Now, yes, that's in our podcast, actually. We mentioned that in the Nikon report, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nikon Direct, it's a Nikon European store, which is well, ships to UK as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to order it from them directly, and then you specify the color while you're ordering.
Yeah, exactly. For anyone that's mentioning tomatoes, which is wonderful, and I love it because it's so random, do put it in the comments after the video as well, because the way that the pick a winner thing works is it works on the comments below the video, not the live chat. So you've kind of got a little bit of time before you need to enter that one. Right, so the next question is from Roy. He says, any news on the FTZ2? Well, as we just found out, and it's rumored, it's not even kind of official yet. I don't know.
Yeah, we have a good discussion on our podcast that came out a couple of days ago. Have a look at that. The good news is it seems like it's been confirmed by multiple sources. So it's not just someone just sent the email to Nikon Rumors. Apparently, he said that several people confirmed that it's in development. Now, in my opinion, I don't think we'll see it this year.
No.
I think the next big thing is probably will be Z9 and probably a lens to go with it. But who knows? Maybe FTZ2 will come with Z9. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, it would be. Are you thinking the Z9 is going to come out this year still?
I think it's going to come out this year. Okay. It's a weird one, and I'll tell you why. So, from my understanding of things, and I'm not going to say what I know, but from my understanding of the things, we had Canon R3 came out this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Z9. According to my sources, my uncle from Nikon, obviously.
Your uncle. He doesn't have for the people that have emailed me and said, what's the name of Con's uncle at Nikon? He doesn't have one. This is just his whatever.
I do. He talks to me in my head all the time.
Oh, dear.
But apparently Z9, according to me, supposed to come out about at the same time as R3.
Yeah,
that didn't happen.
According to the law of Con.
Yeah, about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we started to see rumors popping up saying that it's not happening. So that's what we heard. When it's going to come out, no one knows, but it seems to be that it's like my prediction on this one. It's still going to be announced this year, maybe with very small shipment this year, but the most stock will come next year. That's my guess. That's my bet. I think you will disagree with it.
I will, but that's fine. Yeah. We can agree to disagree.
Exactly.
It's never affected anything or the ability for us to work together. Yeah. Okay, good. So I actually have a really nice one here from Randall Cameron, who says, hi guys, I have about 2K to spend on Nikon equipment. My first Nikon. Wow. Well, welcome to the fold. What can I match with the ZFC?
Come with me.
Yes, exactly. Come take our hands, Randall, and we will help you. So the ZFC is a beautiful camera to start with, and I like the fact that you've chosen that as your starting camera. If you like retro bodies, that's great. So in terms of what...
Is it our Randall asking?
No, it's Randall Cameron. This is another Randall.
Because... our Randall had an unboxing of ZFC on his channel, so do check it out. Yeah, so
this is, it's funny because our Randall, I like our Randall, that's very Northern Yorkshire mum for you. Our Randall said, well, I just saw a video where the guy had only a ZFC for whale watching and wished that he'd had the L bracket from Small Rig to hold it better. So there you go. That's why you get a bracket, basically. Randall, meet Randall. So the ZFC is a lovely kit. If you want something small and lightweight, then actually the twin kit is great because you can just use that for travel. I'm not a massive fan of the 50 to 250 lens, to be honest. I think that the 16 to 50 is great for travel, but better than the two lenses together is the 24 to 200.
I agree.
It's just, it makes it a bit bigger. So if you want to maybe have a little bit of let's say a little bit of flexibility, then I would go 28mm prime special edition if you can get hold of that one, and then the 24 to 200 as your all-rounder, and that probably hits the budget of about 2K, I reckon.
That's true,
depending on where you are in the world.
Or if you don't want to get 28, get a 40 and it's f2, so it's going to be 60 on your lens, so it's just kind of a short portrait focal distance, which can be in your pocket all the time. It's about 100 grams or something like this. So you have your 24 to 200 for your general use, and then when you need a shallow depth of field, you've got a nice little lens that you can just put on and take a quick shot.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So that's our answer, at least. Do you agree with me kind of on the 24-200 idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like those lenses, but
you like that one.
That one particularly, yes. So I was supposed to buy it when they had promotion in July.
Would have saved you about 200 quid, you know.
That's true. Well, I saved myself about 500 quid by not buying it, so that's good news as well.
This is true. I am looking forward to this little 40mm.
That's true.
Funny story, we did our whole podcast on Monday because the lens hadn't been announced yet, not realizing that Tuesday was when the lens was going to come out. Anyway, never mind.
Next week, we're going to talk about Z9.
Maybe then the Z9 will come out on the Wednesday. True. That would be nice.
But I agree with you. I think 28 and 40, I think, are both on my list. Yeah. Maybe not for this year, but maybe for next year. 40 is definitely because obviously I've got Z6. Yes. So 40 for me is a really good choice. Yeah, but I also like 28 as a documentary kind of street life lens. So eventually, I hope to acquire the retro edition one, but even the modern style one will do for me on Z6.
For sure. Yeah. I've got the 35, so I'm like smack bang between the two of those. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, it would be so nice to have a lighter version.
Well, it's a funny thing because I thought our Canon R3 comes out, Nikon internet explodes saying, where's that 9?
Yeah.
And all I saw in the comments is, it's so nice that Nikon released 40mm lens and they're working on FTZ too. And I'm like, perfect.
Like, wow. Thank you, internet, for being so kind.
Absolutely. But those are fun lenses. 28 and 40 for me are both fun lenses because they're very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm considering them because they're small and light, pancake style, more or less. And because, they're like 100, 150 grams, you can always have it in your pocket and quickly swap them over.
For sure. Yeah, it's very small and light. Sam asked a great question. Don't know if I'm totally going to be able to answer this, but she said, wanting to use Ilford SFX film, heard I need a red filter too. Yes. To use that film, you should use a red filter. I believe, and someone may correct me if I'm wrong, that you probably can use it without, but if you want that infrared look, then you need the red filter. Sam also said, can the red filter work when shooting gigs with all the lights going batty? Now, it does affect your exposure. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that would work. It depends on what camera you're using, whether or not your camera, which I would assume is TTL, would then take the red filter into account. The filter will still work.
Could you tell me more about SFX film? Because I'm more of a HP5 Plus guy, or so Delta. Yeah,
I will show you here the shot of, because how do you describe this film?
So is it C41?
I don't actually think so. Let me have a look.
Oh, here we go. SFX 200.
But I was going to just show you pictures, basically. This was my... I'm just going to share with the audience what I'm showing to Con.
Little educational presentation. So they look almost infrared, right?
Exactly. That's the idea. A little bit like, JCH, Japan Camera Hunter film.
Yes.
Right? They do like what's called Street Pan 400. And you can use it as normal black and white film, but if you put a red filter on, then you end up with infrared, basically.
You know what? I want to do investigation on, because every YouTuber nowadays have their own film, or every company. And I really want to get to the bottom of it. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So I don't think they develop their own film. So they're obviously working with a big company, with a big manufacturer like Ilford or Kodak.
Do you think we should have our own film?
I think so.
It would be great, wouldn't it?
It just shoots in royal blue. That's all. It's like black and white, but in royal blue.
It's kind of like double film.
More like sepia, but in blue. Whatever the name is.
Color cast. I can't see how it's developed. I can't actually see it.
No, it's. I think I mixed it with another Ilford film, which is black and white, but C41 development.
That's FP4, I believe.
Could be.
Because I shot with that. Was it
I'm like, give me HP5 and I'm fine.
So now Joey said, I got my small rig for my ZFC this week and it does the job I wanted it for. Awesome.
Yeah, we like small rig. I have a small rig L-plate bracket on my Z6.
It's really
nice.
Good. Yeah, I've got the 3-legged thing one, which I also like.
For £25.
Yes, it's true.
Steal.
It's a bargain. Yeah. The 3-legged thing one is only like 35.
Here we go. I mean, I know a lot of people will mention rear right stuff and, all those, companies. But for me, they're just a little bit too expensive for a piece of metal. And, I don't like it that much to carry. Well, no, the three-legged thing is fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about those, the L plates from other manufacturers, which cost like $100+.
What are they called? Like Kirk and...
Kirk, Really Right Stuff,
Yes.
other things.
That was what I was thinking of.
And I feel like the outlay, I know they're beautifully made, but just for me, I don't use it enough to justify the cost.
That's fair enough.
So
Fair enough. Jeremy said, now I missed that because the comments refreshed and I lost my train of thought. Here we go. Cade would like to trade their black and silver ZFC for a coloured one. Which coloured one? Let me know. I like the black and silver one. I think it's great.
I'm wondering what, it would be nice for Nikon to actually set up something through the dealers, not through their own stores.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is basically a dealer takes an order, sends the order to Nikon, and then
they fulfill it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, let's not go there.
Hear what grinds my gears.
This is not a grumble session on a Friday afternoon.
Don't worry, I'll ask them on Monday.
Jeremy, you said you're the new Nikon Z backpack? What's a backpack?
Backpack?
Maybe backpack. Arrived
Backman?
this week. Great value for money, but not enough room in the camera section, but very convenient. I would like to see a picture of this backpack.
Which one?
The one that Jeremy's talking about. That
Nikon.
I don't know. Nikon one. Nikon Z backpack. What is it? I've not seen it. Do you know what it is?
No.
No.
I know in Japan, Nikon sells Nikon branded backpacks.
That's cool.
But I don't think they're made by them. I think they're manufactured by some camera bag manufacturer and they put Nikon logo on it.
Okay. So, yes, I'd like to see that, Jeremy. It intrigues me. The Coffee Fund still exists, by the way, for anyone that wants to contribute to the Coffee Fund.
You see, Russell says Gray should definitely have a film. So if I would want to have my own film, I would want to take a part in designing it. So imagine, let's okay, if you're going to skip it, like perfume, I want to pick the ingredients and, and kind of design the smell and whatever. So with a film...
Scented film.
Yeah, I just want to know when you come to, let's say, Ilford, if it's black and white, because lots of branded black and white films we see, and they say, I want a black and white film. What options do they give you? Like, do you want a salt and pepper? Like, you see what I mean? Do you want a high contrast or low contrast? How much grain you want to have, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
I want to know what involves it. So I think we should really, really kind of do a bit of investigative work on that.
Well, you know who we're going to go and see next month?
Yes.
Yes. We could ask them.
That's true, because they have their own film.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Anyway, very exciting. We're going to find all about that. That's a surprise for you later. So next question is from Instagram. What lighting setups do studio portrait photographers use and how to use them? This is a question from Alice Robb. Now, this is a good question. Don't know if we'll be able to fully answer it in the stream. We did do actually a live stream, didn't we? On sort of like getting started with your lighting gear.
Yeah.
And it went from like really small scale to massive.
I actually would recommend that, because that answer could take an hour, and it really depends where you are in your photography journey and what your budget is. Because yes, if you look at pros, they probably would use broncolors. Then the one down is probably Pro Photos of the world, and then you have Chromes and all sorts of manufacturers. Godox is a really kind of good and expensive way to get into the studio lighting.
Yes, it's true. And also, Alice, there are going to be at the photography show quite a lot of workshops and stuff like that. There are going to be more things based online as well. So potentially it might be worth doing one of those little courses or sessions that way. If you can't get to Birmingham for this weekend, then I completely understand. But but Nikon School do some really great workshops, so that might.
That's true.
I have to say thank you to Michael, who has had to run out and loves us both and is going to probably have to watch this later. And thank you to Peter for your contributions to the Coffee Fund. Absolutely fantastic.
Ooh, that's
very much.
What kind of money is that?
I have no idea. It's
not a Bitcoin.
Swedish krona, I think.
Yeah. Imagine 50 Bitcoins.
That would be nice.
See you.
We'll retire on that. Right. So now here is another Instagram question. Crossover with smartphone image processing applied to pro level cameras.
That was from Buxton Morrison.
This is a great question.
I think we will see a lot more of them. So that's actually interesting one, because we start to see that in terms of sensor development, we kind of reached the point where they're so good right now.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the questions asked what he thinks is going to be the next development. So, and we're going to cover it a bit later.
Yeah.
But a part of the sensor development and whole kind of processing speeds, etc., we start to see a lot of AI use, so use of artificial intelligence to process the images. So that's what we see on iPhones and Androids of the world.
Yeah.
You got, face recognition, you got eye recognition, you got animal recognition. As you say, that let's say iPhone recognizes a lot more animals compared to, let's say, Nikon device, etc. So
because it recognizes the whole creature, not just
Yes.
the eyes, which the Nikon software is looking for two sort of pinpoints, if you like.
And then we obviously have Japanese manufacturers who are really good at hardware. And I said it on the podcast and I got a flag for that. But, I think that Japanese manufacturers are really good at designing hardware, and we obviously can see it because if you look at the camera manufacturers, they're all pretty much Japanese, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
But the software development is much better on the phone, so therefore we're talking about Silicon Valley effectively, so Western developers, and you look at, let's say, iOS, which is really user-friendly and really easy to pick up for a lot of people who are not really good with things like this, So I think if we definitely will start to see a lot of software developments for the cameras that we use for professional cameras like Nikon. My main problem is that obviously the main bottleneck will be the actual design of software, because once we start to look at the software they design for the computers, it's not as good. Like we're talking about, let's say, like NX Studio came out, it's a good software, but it's not as smooth and easy to use compared to, let's say, something like Lightroom.
Very true. It would be nice to have those kind of the designers of people of software like Lightroom. Even, Affinity I don't get on with as well as, but I think it's just because I've used Adobe software for so long. But anyone from that sort of area to get with the guys that developed NX Studio.
So I think if Japanese manufacturers will start to, spend more time on research and development of how to design the software around it, or could potentially collaborate with some companies who are good at, use of, just UI, so graphic interface, etc. So user interface. That's number one. And obviously research and development in AI, artificial intelligence, where the camera is effectively a computer that processes the images for you. That would be good. Obviously, it's always kind of asks the question, who is in charge? You as a photographer or a camera, but I think it's always good to have full manual mode for photographers, and then full automatic mode, which is really, really good on that side of things. So then we can pick and choose what we want to use. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's what we think. That's what Con thinks the future is going to be, at least. But we will also ask the question. I have to say, Juan Jose Gonzalez Cruz from Paraguay said, I got my first Nikon F4S from Grays Westminster back in 1989 when I was in a scholarship in London. How cool is that?
That's really cool.
Thank you so much. Steve bought an FE from us yesterday. Yes, I saw that. You spoke to Steve, funnily enough, Steve. You spoke to our Steve. And you said that what black and white film would you recommend? Now, I don't shoot much black and white. I prefer color. So I think if we did a Grays Westminster film, we'd have to have a black and white edition for you and a color edition for me.
No, to be honest, I started film photography with black and white, and I was big on black and white. And then the more, because I started, I wanted to be a documentary photography. I was forever in protests, street life, all sorts of things. But then I went and actually had photographic education. And during that process, I kind of switched more towards studio photography and color photography.
Right.
So HP5 Plus, I think, is my gem for black and white. And I loved it because you can push it to 1600 ISO and 3200 ISO for this super grainy, high contrast look. But it's also very nice, just shot at speed. So I personally like this, but there's so many choices nowadays, especially from Kodak as well.
I spoke to a professional studio fashion photographer, and his favorite black and white film was the Kodak, what's it called?
Tri-X?
Tri-X. There you go. I was like, it has an X on it. So those are a couple of suggestions for you, Steve. But have a look at, what's really nice is if you've just got yourself a film camera, Analog Wonderland do this thing called the Wonder Box, where you get a box of film, mystery film, and it's always a mixture between color and black and white. I think it's every month or every 2 months. And then they also do sort of photo challenges when you get the box. And the reason I like that is because if you feel like you don't know quite where to start,
it's like a coffee subscription.
It is though, and I love it. So anyway, that's another suggestion. You do get 5% off with them off your first order, or if you're a customer of Grace. Thank you very much to Terry. The coffee is for Sam, working hard behind the scenes. Whoop, whoop. And thank you to Liakada. Thank you for your entertaining and informative talk about our favorite hobby. Well, our pleasure. Now, Ilford FP4 Plus was a beautiful film, says Milco. Sorry, I'm reading that.
I think FP4 FP4 is more like Tri-X, and I think HP5 is a bit more contrasty.
Right. Okay. I'm with you. And David says, I always use mono because I had a darkroom and mono allowed me to be creative. I'm using film again now. Yeah, see, I dived straight in and shot color and developed it myself. And it was very challenging. Loved it. Anyway, but but I can understand the reasoning behind doing that, particularly if you're going to do it yourself. Charles said that he was going to be at the photography show on Monday and would try and say hello. Oh, there's Foteini as well. She's joining us from
hello, Foteini.
Online. Hello. Azangana says the backpack is under the accessories under the ZFC on the Nikon EU website. Thank you. I'm going to go check it out. Amazing. Please do give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. I can see we've got 161 viewers, which is wonderful. And we love you for being here. But only 47 likes, which is very sad. So if you could just give us a little thumbs up, we would very, very much appreciate it. Just helps the algorithm a bit, lets YouTube know that we're vaguely interesting. Also, the vlog that we did.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
This was an in-house, like fully in-house production in that I edited it myself, slaving over a hot computer for the whole of the weekend after the show. So please do go and give that video some love as well if you haven't watched it yet.
I think it came out really nice for the first attempt.
Thank you. I mean, it's not perfect, let's be honest. It was in between, like, you know, kids and family and grandparents, one thing and another. But I really wanted to get that video out in a timely fashion. It's about 10 minutes long. It's just sort of us vlogging.
Yeah, if you want to know what the Photo London looked like,
yes,
then it's the one to definitely check it out. So,
plugging my own video.
I'm going to read a comment from Baxter, who texted me on Instagram, and he says, I would like to know what the next step change in sensor tech is. The CMOS BSI as its limits with only marginal gains. So what do you think, Bex? What's the next big thing in sensor development?
Well, they've already proven that they can do these stacked sensors, right? And obviously they've said that's not for commercial use.
Yeah, but then Z9 potentially will have some sort of stacked sensor as well.
Yeah, exactly. So a few months ago, and it's amazing how quickly these things develop, I think. And this is certainly a question that we could also ask Rishi and Neil, or Rob. They might have some insights. They might not be able to say anything just in case there is some genuine technology and that they can't talk about. But I think in terms of like our next big leap, that would make the most sense because you basically cram in more data into a smaller area. So you still get full frame, but you would potentially have the possibility for so much more resolution.
Yeah, I will expand on that though. So we talked that video is effectively pushing the sensor development, not photography, because 24 megapixels is good enough.
We're all happy now.
Exactly, but 8K functionality will push the resolution of the sensors. However, 8K at 30 frames, and also it is important to get to 60 frames as well.
Eventually, yeah.
Will require quite a lot of data processing. So the pipeline has to be quite big. So designing sensor with a quick refresh rate to output for that becomes very important. And potentially Z9 with room at 45 to 60 megapixels should show us the first advancements in this space. And then obviously, I don't know if it's going to shoot at 60, let's say, frames per second at 8K, definitely 4K. But then that next push to 60 frames per second would be the next big thing.
Going to make it a really hot camera.
Well, that's the thing. And how do you design this to keep it small, cool?
Yes.
You know, to allow for this amount of data. But I also think because of that and the whole video thing and like 8K, the next big thing is going to be a global shutter.
Yes, this is what Roy and David Dixon was saying, global shutter. Roy said global sensor / shutter.
Technically global shutter is on the sensor.
Exactly. So yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the question is when. I don't think it's going to be, well, I think maybe first models probably late next year, but I think it could take a couple of years at least.
Yeah, exactly. But let's see. I mean, things have definitely been a bit quieter, I would say, on the release side of things. By now, I mean, just in the last couple of years, not specific to Nikon even necessarily, but you know, in previous years, we kind of had these guaranteed, we're going to have a January announcement, a springtime announcement, then we get all our sort of summer savings. End of summer, we'll get an announcement, then we get the autumn, winter one. There'll usually be like 4 releases a year at least. Yeah,
but we're not really living in that reality anymore.
No, we're very much not.
It's like a parallel thing, you know, alternative.
Yeah, exactly. So, so things have been a little bit slower. We've got lots of things that we want to see from the Z system. We will be really asking the question as much as we can and seeing if we get any answers. Someone was asking about the Z30 earlier, which I'm sorry, there was 2 people that asked about the Z30. This is another one which I think was basically ready to go, but that was postponed because of chip shortages.
Yeah. According to many sources, it is ready.
Yeah.
It's in terms of design and parts they're going to use, it's all there.
Even our mate Tom says it's ready to go.
Exactly. And, from Nikon report that came out in Japanese last week, they say they will release it before the end of fiscal year, which is 31st of March 2022. So between now and 1st of April, we should see that release.
That would be interesting, particularly now that we've got a ZFC. So that will give us 3 DX cameras. That will be...
That's true, because if you want the camera for Christmas, and the Z30 would be the one as a kind of a good Christmas present, just because it's compared, like price-wise, is going to be considered entry level. So we're looking at maybe £500 or so.
Exactly.
You need to release the camera now. So if you want that camera to be, to be shipping before Christmas, you need to announce it now for mid-October release. It's not happening, and it seems like if it's not happening now, there's no point of announcing it in November. So they probably will then skip it and maybe announce it in January. Who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Sam, it's the MS-15 that you need for your F100. I just happen to know that fun fact off the top of my head. Very hard to get hold of, but if you at least know what the part name is, it's an MS-15. You might be able to find someone selling one.
Yeah, the rubber keeps coming off on that battery latch.
There's a little seal around it. It's funny, Kevin says global shutter will solve the flash sync speed issue. Yeah, that's interesting. Dixon suggests organic sensors.
Well, Panasonic, I think, is it Fuji or Sigma?
Fuji and Panasonic, he says.
Okay.
I didn't know that, so that's interesting.
Still in development. I mean, they've been talking about this for, 3-4 years now, so hopefully we start to see some results, some fruits of that labor.
Be very cool. And Anthony points out that the battery technology would have to also keep pace with, 8K and with that massive readout. So,
The problem with the battery technology is there's, again, a part of semiconductor shortage. There's a huge lithium shortage as well.
All those electric cars being made.
Exactly.
Which is good.
But the interesting thing about electric cars, so here's a little insight. Tesla is developing a new battery, which, 4680, I think it's called.
Right.
And that should potentially increase their mile range by at least half extra.
Wow.
So I wonder, those developers, it's not just Tesla who's doing it. There's a lot of companies developing the new tech for the batteries.
Yeah.
So who knows, maybe we will start to see that in electronic products like cameras as well.
Yeah, I think that more environmentally friendly and effective solutions for powering life in general is the way to go. So that's very, very
that's
cool.
True.
Thank you, Randall, for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. Just buy lenses while waiting for the camera of 2022. Yeah, you just buy lenses now. Just get it done.
So Randall has ZFC unboxing on his channel, so do check it out.
Yes, absolutely. Chips and potatoes do go hand in hand. But in terms of the chip shortage, John said, when will the chip shortage end? I mean, the thing is that it was a factory fire. So if you imagine like a factory churning out thousands and thousands of things that are needed, or basically chips that are needed for multiple devices, not just cameras, but cars and modems and routers. Like these chips were used for so many different things, and then suddenly you've got zero stock and you're unable to produce them, then a shortage of them is probably going to have a knock-on effect for quite some time.
Yeah, a lot of those semiconductors are made in Taiwan and Thailand. So Taiwan and Thailand, and there's again a huge surge of COVID cases again there. So that's also delayed the production of the semiconductors.
Yeah, absolutely. Drazen suggested that Sam contact Grays for the MS-15. If I knew that we had one, I would have said for sure, but it's absolutely worth just double checking. I'll go and have a look for you later after the stream, Sam, and see if I can find one. Now, let's see. So the next question, any news on the new Nikon firmware update that we were due to get in September? That was from Ryan.
Check out Ryan's YouTube channel as well.
Definitely do that. Ryan, I think we mentioned it in one of our podcasts.
No, it was the last podcast.
Was it?
Yeah,
There's like a whole blur.
So the answer there is, as soon as Z9 is announced, then we start to see, because obviously that firmware with a real-time tracking was rumored, so it wasn't officially announced. And the problem there is obviously it feels to me that a lot of that technology will come from Z9.
Yes, I think so.
So there's no point of releasing the firmware now with that technology without announcing Z9 and keeping all those fancy features for the new camera. So I personally think that's, again, my speculation, that as soon as Z9 comes out, they will announce an official firmware release for Z6 and Z7. But I personally think that we probably will see that firmware as soon as the camera is officially on the shelves.
Yeah, I agree.
The Z9.
Because they won't want to kind of leak that firmware beforehand. So that makes sense. So that's probably why we haven't seen it. Avna asks a very legitimate question. Says, anyone in Nikon remember there are still Z6 and Z7? Could we get some updates?
Yeah, they actually keep releasing firmwares for those. So I think last one came out about 2 months ago. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't that long ago.
It's not bad at all. I mean, the Z6 was the first camera who got the voice memo on it.
That's true. Yeah, so. It's true. I really personally wouldn't, in terms of the difference between the 6.2 and the 6 and the 6.2, as a Z6 user, I don't see the point in upgrading. And as long as they keep providing firmware updates for the Z6, I'll be quite happy.
Absolutely. And if you read Tom Hogan, he thinks that Z6 and Z7 are really good propositions right now, brand new compared to the price of the 6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II version, because they do a lot of things that those cameras do, and they keep upgrading them. So he thinks that actually Nikon will stop selling them just because they're kind of eating up into the sales of new cameras.
Right. Interesting. Now, Liam pointed out, and thank you to everyone who said that they liked my video. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Do give us a thumbs up. I can't believe how many people haven't given us thumbs up yet. Just hit that like button. We love it when you do that.
You can.
Just now. Lovely.
Not twice, just once.
Just once will do. So Liam said, I wouldn't worry about what tech the future holds. We've never had it as good as it is. And getting printable pictures at 6,400 ISO on my Z6 II, being able to shoot in pretty much any light handheld. I have to say that's one big takeaway from Photo London that I had. I was looking at these pictures, and obviously some of it was, I will admit, a bit, what's the word? Self-indulgent, from a photographer's point of view. I thought, okay, it doesn't speak to me. That doesn't communicate. I kind of feel like they were like, what's the weirdest thing I can do? Let me just do it and then whack on a really big price tag. But some stuff was very, very clever, things that you would never think about. And if you have a look at our vlog, you'll see the highlights, let's say. But for the most part, the thing that really, really stuck with me was the fact that nobody looked at what camera model was used for that particular shot. That wasn't the purpose of going there, basically. It was to be inspired by the act of photography itself and the end result.
Okay, I can tell you this much. Do you think my wife knows what camera I have, what model of the camera I have?
No. And my husband definitely doesn't have a clue.
That's the thing. And she still, I got her a camera as well, and I tried to show her how to do this, and she still prefers iPhone. And that's all we need to know. So we are a small percentage of people who cares about equipment.
We're a little inner circle, really.
Exactly. So, and the rest of the people, they don't really care if you've taken it on DSLR or mirrorless, or what year it came from, or did you shoot film or not. So that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Dixon said, what happened to the poor D780 firmware updates? It's a good point. D780. Oh,
yes. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I paused. Got some news for you.
We do have some breaking news for you. So the D750 has been officially discontinued. We will also mention it in the podcast. So bye-bye, so long. I'm so sad.
To be honest with you, it's been out for what, like 10 years? I mean, it feels like
10 years. 2014.
Honestly,
7 years.
It feels like forever.
Yeah. 7 years. Yeah. And it's finally done. To be honest, we didn't see that many this year. So it was coming up to the 7-year anniversary. It came out September 2014. I loved that camera.
I think it's a classic camera. It wasn't my camera because I was the 800 guy at the time. But I think it's kind of earned its place in the lineup. And I think it's going to become one of those staple models that we're going to talk about in the future.
I know. And it makes me so sad that it's discontinued, because for DSLR users, it was the entry point for full frame. And now, so there will still be parts available for it for a good couple of years to come. So don't worry if you've already got a D750, don't worry about that at all. But what I will say is that the D780 needs to come down a bit in price, because it's a tremendously capable camera. I mean, it's fantastic, but it's just slightly too close to the D850 price. And I'm sure you would agree with me. There's not enough of a difference. If it was like 1,500 instead of 19.
That's the thing. And 780 is the only camera that has this really good integration with live view.
Yeah, it's like hybrid camera.
That's the thing. One thing I've read, and I still can't find the answer to that, but according to the Internet Charter, D780 has a redesigned screw motor, Because when people talk about FTZ2, they mention 780 motor design. So if anyone in the comments can share more light on this, because I really want to find out why is that. But that's an interesting one. But also, yeah, the live view integration is basically Z6 in DSLR form. D850 doesn't have that feature, neither D6.
What did you want them to comment on? Sorry.
So when people talk about FTZ2 the D-type support lenses, which would require built-in motor with a little coupling fork, to get,
Roy was saying that Sony already have one for their mount for Nikon AFD lenses. An adapter. Is it a genuine Sony one, Roy? You'll have to tell us.
Yeah, please share some more details. But a lot of people, when they talk about it in forums, they mention that the D780, the built-in motor in 780, is redesigned compared to D850 or D750 or previous models.
Supposedly.
And a lot of people say that design could potentially go to an FTZ2. Now, the reason why we didn't talk about it is because I have no idea. So I have no more information about this. And I'd rather learn about it a little bit more than I can explain to you guys.
Give you the official dish.
Absolutely.
Steve says, my discontinued D810 is still a great camera. Yeah, absolutely. Liam says, he only just sold his D750. I don't think the price of secondhand is going to go up in value. Unfortunately, that's not usually how it works with discontinued cameras. They're not like film bodies where when something is phased out, they then become more valuable because they're more desirable. It's like, okay, the reason that it's like iPhones and computers, you don't go and buy an old PC from 5 years ago and say it's going to be worth more now.
That's the life of digital products nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, which is sad, but is just the way it is. Tim says, I'm fortunate my spouse has a good idea of the bodies and lenses and understands. Oh, this was an answer to Anthony, who said, my wife has no idea what my camera collection is worth. Yes.
That's what I thought. Like, she has a good idea of the cameras and lenses I have as well as price value.
And then, but this is interesting because Tim says, I'm fortunate my spouse has a good idea of the bodies and lenses and understands what I'm working on. See, I think that, it's lovely. Couples who photograph together stay together. It's wonderful. But my husband doesn't like, he likes photography. He likes the idea of photography, but he'd rather use his phone than the camera that I bought him. And that's fair enough. He does not understand why I'd want to shoot film and spend like hours developing it and scanning it. And that's okay. We all have our own things.
My wife just asked, how much?
Like, don't worry about it.
And I said, it's £10.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly. Bargain.
From a thrift store.
But I part exchange something else, so it's okay.
That's what I say.
Oh, dear.
She was like, I've lost track of what you're doing. It's fine.
Imagine, it's best not to ask questions. Yeah. Tom says, D750 was my first full-frame camera. It is terrific. It was not my first full-frame camera. Mine was the D700.
D700, yeah.
But it is, as you say, probably going to be classic. And Tim says it still rides shotgun in the front seat on adventures, which is very nice. I like that as well. John's wife knows the cost, but also the weight. Poor thing. So she
That's
not
true.
only does she know how much they cost, but she also has to carry everything around. How are our IGTV viewers? Hello.
Hi.
Still there. I keep realizing that my line of sight is directly to that camera, which is quite workable.
Wait, this one or that one?
No, that one.
That one, okay.
Yeah,
Hi.
which is nice. So Tom,
I haven't noticed you there. Yeah.
Like your little thing in the vlog where you're like, oh, hello.
Come and join me.
Tom says the Sony adapter is A to E mount and has a screw focus motor. What does that mean?
Sony Alpha.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what was their kind of, I think, DSLR, whatever, transparent SLR thing.
Yes.
And the E was their mirrorless mount.
Oh, right. So they have that one. But Roy...
So it's not for Nikon lenses, it's for their own lenses.
Yeah, but Roy was saying that they had one for a Nikon, but maybe it's not Sony. Maybe it's like Novaflex or someone, because they also have...
I'm not sure. I don't know much about Sony cameras, so I don't really know.
But I do like the idea. I know that in the podcast, I was kind of like, will people want it now? Isn't it too late? But then when I was watching it back afterwards, I was thinking, well, no, I would still want it.
It's the question of price, because it's D lenses, and my main fear is it's going to come out at £500. And people say, well, yes, it has it, but it's too expensive now. And then that's my problem, is because, yes, support of legacy lenses is very important, but then the question is, would you pay for it? So it's not going to be £200. It's not going to be £250.
No.
It's going to be at least 400 plus. And that's where my fear is, because internet people say, well, it's too expensive now. So I'll just leave those D lenses.
Is that how people sound?
Well, I can do the Kermit version of that. So, you
Go
know,
ahead.
so that's what I'm worried about. But who knows? Maybe they'll pleasantly surprise us. But we really need this D-type support. So if it doesn't come out with a D-type,
Yeah.
it's just a redesigned smaller version. Then
It's not going to be that. It's not going to be £500.
no. But then why would you release it? It's not exactly like Switch and Switch Lite or something. You know.
No. Yeah.
Unless
well,
it costs
be
50,
cheaper.
but unless it costs like £100.
Yeah, it would have to be cheaper if they did it that
Yeah.
way. I mean, I was thinking about it. I would like to have a lens that would autofocus on my f6 and would autofocus on my Z cameras that wasn't as big as the AFS lenses. So I was thinking, yeah, it would be nice to have an FTZ, but at the same time, it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I've got enough Z lenses that are really, really good that buying an older AFD lens and putting it on a Z camera won't necessarily do the Z camera any justice. Do you know what I mean?
I think what I don't like about these old lenses is because FTZ adapter is quite chunky, and that's
Yeah.
because you need to have this distance between the sensor and the rear element of the lens.
Yes.
So just to kind of mimic the DSLR.
Yeah.
So even, let's say, pancake lenses do look quite big because of the adapter. So 40mm or 28mm pancakes, the new Zs, would answer that question.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have other lenses, and you can get a lovely 51.2, let's say, with 35-1.4 lenses,
Beautiful.
which would be nice. But it's kind of, you know, because it makes it quite big, I personally think, well, it's nice to have, but then I probably would just invest in those pancake lenses myself.
Yeah, and I think that those are a very smart move from Nikon. I was
Yeah.
surprised at first, and now I think, actually, this is great. So Randall, who was saying that he prefers primes when we said get the ZFC with a 24-200 and a 40mm prime or a 28mm prime. I think actually if you went for a 28 and a 40, you'd probably be quite happy. If you wanted something a bit longer, there's the 85.
We're all different again. So yes,
Exactly.
for us who've been, you know, kind of boiling in this soup for so long, yes, we are prime users, and
Yeah.
we you know, we like the good things, you know, because we have experience and we try them all.
Yes.
For people who just coming into this, 24-200 is going to be a fantastic choice because for its size and performance and the price is a really good choice. So we're all in different stages of our photography journey, and I think it's, you know, if you would get the person and say just use primes from now, some people will be quite fine with it, but I think a lot of people will struggle. So zoom is quite useful just for that reason for the starters.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to point out, Synthetic Color said, unlike discontinued digital cameras, 35mm point and shoot prices are through the roof these days, and that is so true.
Have you seen this Contax T2? It's
Yes.
over $1,000 on the internet
Yes,
now.
Sam's nodding, but
35 Ti, £700-800.
We've all got them on our wish list.
That's true.
Can't afford them. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes.
It was a Kardashian's fault. That's why. So if
Yeah,
anyone's
blame
wondering.
her. Spam her Instagram.
Exactly. Thank you to Vince for your contribution to the
Thank
coffee
you.
fund. That's wonderful. Woody points out the 70-180 macro and the defocus control primes. Those would be the lenses to put. I'd be okay to manual focus those personally, but I know what you mean, Woody. They're beautiful lenses. They're very unique. He also said, my greatest fear is that when I die, my wife will sell my camera lenses for what I told her I paid for them. It's just a few pounds, love. Anyway, Woody doesn't sound like that, but yeah. Just, you know, tenner here, 20 quid there. Yeah. So now Avner said, Matt Irwin said in his YouTube, on one of his YouTube videos, he introduced an adapter of Z Nikon to Sony lenses. So I suppose that's interesting. We'll go check that out later. Thanks, Avner. I'll keep an eye on that. And now, there was another comment that I wanted to read, which I've now lost, which is very strange. Sam says, all this talk of chips, potatoes, pancakes, tomatoes is making me hungry. Yeah, I'm going to go for fish and chips afterwards. Where has it gone? That's really bizarre. Anyway, I've lost the comment that I wanted to read, but whatever. David said, I've got a 24-200 Z mount, which is a great handy lens to have. I think if you kind of want an all-in-one, like one lens suits all, that's just a really good solution.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's, we always say the question when we just like someone asks us a question.
Yeah.
There's no like we can't just ask directly. We need to ask where you are. Let's say in your photography journey, what do you use?
Yeah.
What previous camera you had? What lenses do you have? And that's kind of give us an idea of what's to recommend. So for some people it would be 24-200, but for some people it would be maybe 24-70 2.8 zoom and 70-200 2.8 zooms, or for some people a set of primes. everyone is different. If you, let's say, professional photographer, yes, you won't even consider 24-200 because it's not a professional lens.
No, exactly.
You would go for something like 2.8 trinity of zooms or primes, depending on what you do.
Very heavy.
Exactly. But if you're a travel photographer and you're just keen enthusiast and you just want to have all-in-one lenses, because we have people coming in. The recent one was with Steve. A guy said, I want to buy a camera and a lens. So he wants a Z6 and 200-500 with a FTZ adapter for bird photography. And when Steve asked him, what camera do you have? And he said, one of the Coolpix with 1,000 times zoom.
Oh, wow.
And when he knew that, then he suddenly realized that 200-500 is not going to cover it because that Coolpix has a longer zoom than
3,000 millimeters.
Yeah, and he wanted to buy a lens that he said, I'm for too far away from birds. I want to get the lens closer.
Yeah.
So we need to have also information to give a good advice.
Yes.
And that's the thing. So some people, yes, definitely prime lens is a good choice. For some people, 24-200 will answer their questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Vince points out, he did make a comment, said smaller FTZ for a gripped body and maybe a control ring or button. You imagine if they put like a function button on the FTZ or something like that, that would be quite cool.
But it's not going to make it significantly smaller. So you reduce, because the distance between the lens and the sensor is going to stay the same. So you just remove the bump effectively, and then the button on it.
But so for those of you that have the Z6 II, Z7 II, and the MBN11, which to be honest, we've not had one to put on demo or anything. They always go straight out the door. The FTZ surely does not interfere. How does that work? The FTZ doesn't interfere with the grip, does it?
We haven't seen Z9, so we don't know. That's
but I'm talking about, for example, the Z7 II with an MBN11 is roughly going to be about the same size.
Could be, yeah. But a lot of people mentioned the Tamron lenses as well, which apparently struggled with FTZ adapter.
Oh, I see.
But if FTZ2, let's say, if it supports D-type lenses, it's not going to be smaller.
No, then it will be bigger.
Because you need to put this autofocus motor somewhere around the FTZ adapter.
I just don't know how they would do that, because I'm just realizing that the bodies, obviously the DSLR bodies actually have the sort of receiver, if you like, the receipt point for that screw drive system in order to drive the focus. But the Z bodies don't have that. So anyway, that's a problem for tomorrow.
Well, the good news is, remember when they released Z6 and Z9, about 3 years ago or so, we asked, well, did you actually have the prototype of FTZ adapter that support D lenses? And they said yes. Right. So they had a working prototype, but then they said it wasn't economically viable releasing it. So I assume that probably would cost a fortune.
Yeah, maybe it was going to cost $1,000 to make or something.
Exactly.
Like that,
so who knows? Maybe they improved on that.
Maybe.
And they can now design it cheaper and smaller.
Blue Serpent Media says Jared Polin said in his video that he thinks it will be without the tripod, just same as the old one, tripod mount removed so it fits the Z9, cheaper, smaller.
Yeah, well, that's
quite possible.
There are two ways. Yeah, it's either D-type, bigger, or smaller, cheaper. Yeah.
Exactly. And a couple of people have mentioned the Dandelion chips, like Roy and Steve. So I just in my spare time, I had a couple of my lenses chipped. I actually did them myself, and then I had one of them. I could not get it to sit right, and I was really worried about just permanently fixing that to my lens.
Bit of blue tack.
Yeah. So I had a very kind friend who had a bit of an engineering background who did that one for me. I sent it to him all the way in Switzerland, and he sent it all the way back again. Was he in Switzerland? I think so, or France. It was a good few years ago. But anyway, so Dandelion chips, you can do it yourself, but you just really have to follow the instructions, because obviously you can't get it wrong by even a fraction of a millimeter. It has to be.
But that's the thing. Everyone is different. I personally wouldn't find it's worth my time investment into this, but I can see some other people would be really interested in it. So we kind of choose our battles, I would say.
Yes. Liam says, I still use my 28 f1.8 f mount for a lot of shooting. Wish there was a native Z fast aperture to 28mm. Now, there was one on the roadmap. There was a 28 1.8 originally. I don't think it's there anymore, but maybe that will come out at some point soon.
I think it will, yeah. Because
it will just replicate what we've got. We do need a fast aperture 28mm. You're quite right, Liam. I think it's quite important. So is that all the question? No, we've got another question. Because I'm like, we're going to run out of time. Which one would you buy for both street and portrait photography, the 40 or the 28? I would say 28. That's my personal feeling. How about you?
At the moment of time, I really like shooting with 40mm. So, and that's, on Mamiya. So
Right.
so I really enjoy this lens, but historically 28 was my gem. So I personally think I'll end up with both.
There you go. All right, I'll have one of each. Lovely. Brilliant. I think that we're going to call it a day for the questions. Thank you so much for all your engagement. It's been absolutely wonderful. Any other questions you have, just pop them in the comments below. Don't forget to put tomato in the comments below so that we can pick a winner next week for the wonderful David Yarrow.
Yeah, tomatoes are in season right now.
I've got a tomato, you know the tomato plants that Gabby gave me?
Yes.
That's right. So they were like this big when I got them from Con's house.
We've got about...
They're like,
they're
hit
up
the
to the
ceiling.
ceiling. Yeah.
It's got one tomato on it.
No, we've got
Very
so far about
unproductive.
20 in the last
Really?
3 weeks. Yes.
Oh my goodness. It's like so many offshoots, but only one tomato.
Yeah. It's not worth.
I keep
the
talking
time.
to it and saying like, where's the rest? I need the rest, please. It's a lot of work.
I mean, Tilly loves them. She keeps stealing them. So
Anyway, right. It was wonderful to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you next week for another live stream. We will be doing a couple of videos next week. So stay tuned and have a lovely weekend.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Internet.